Good morning, Uzma.
Hello, Kate. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I'm excited to know what surprise you're giving me today when we talk. But
Oh,
I
is it
wanted to
my
know,
turn to
yeah, it is your turn. It is your turn. I've been keeping track,
What am I going
trying
to
to get
talk about?
organized with this. But today, we were stuck inside all weekend because of the weather. And today I went outside and I grounded myself on the ice. I didn't get to the snow yet. Tomorrow will be snow day. I will step in that snow barefoot. But today I walked on the ice.
What was the temperature when you went out today?
19 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh, see, it was 44 when I went out this morning at 6:30 to take my dogs out to pee. And that's what I love about Denver, though, or the Colorado area. Like, especially when we start getting into March, a snowstorm will come. It will be gone in 2 days. Like the sun is so intense here. It doesn't just melt everything as it's melting it evaporates a lot of it. So, thank God some of it does go into the ground because we are in a drought. But for the most part, it does evaporate. It doesn't hang out. And that's what I
Yeah.
love about it here.
Well, when my family and I thought we were ski people, we bought all, we thought, we're like, everybody goes skiing. Let's see. If
Yeah,
we're
let's become ski people. We're the
actually,
ski family.
yeah, we're actually beach people, but we bought all our equipment, everything. We went to Bachelor Gulch and we got there and we realized that we have to put on our own skis and carry them and load up. And we were just like, what the heck? This is too hard. This is so much work. So we finally found a valet who would put on all of our shoes, would carry our skis and everything. And then because of the heat, this is where the story is going. We slowly started pulling off all our layers and we were all in like t-shirts by the end of the day when we were coming down the slope because
Yes.
of the heat, right? You think you
Yes.
have to be all bundled up when you're skiing, but actually you end up skiing in a t-shirt because it gets so hot.
The sun's really intense. Yeah. And I love that you just went through all of that we thought maybe we could be ski people, but we really are beach people.
We are.
And
Seriously, we could not even, we had somebody carry our skis up. We had somebody put on our coats. I mean, it was just a lot of stuff for us. And we were like, okay, we paid for it. So we'll do it this 3-4 days. But we would go to the grotto and sleep at like 8:30 every single day because we were exhausted. We just couldn't
this
do
is like
it.
the Downton Abbey of skiing, right? We were like, yeah, we had somebody put our shoes on for us and our coats and carry our shit.
That's exactly what it was. I mean, I told my husband, if we are going to do this, we have to do it extra because we're not ski family, but we're going to try.
We're going to try.
Yeah.
That is what I don't like about skiing. I don't like the clunky boots and the skis and carrying all that stuff. And when we had kids, yeah, I'd be carrying skis, carrying boot. The equipment involved in skiing is why I think I don't embrace it.
Yeah. And then wearing all that equipment and having to jump off that thing that's moving, that swing.
This,
Oh my gosh. And then having to stand there and it pushes you. So you sit down on the way down. That is scary
yeah.
stuff. I was like,
and then you got to get out of the way because
and
more people are coming.
Yeah, it was the worst.
Yeah.
So those of you who love skiing, good for you. I'm a beach person. Take me to the beach any day.
I'm more of a beach person as well than a mountain or ski person. So yeah, I'm not destined to live here forever. That's for sure.
Okay. Yes, we know that. Scotland, here you come.
Yeah, I know it's changed from France to Scotland. I definitely not destined to live in the United States. I don't believe for the rest of my life. So yeah, I'm envisioning
That's
new
awesome.
things.
Exactly. So what are we talking about today? What is my big surprise? I'm so excited.
Your big surprise. Have you ever been stuck? You said the word stuck earlier, and I want it to be like, that's what we're talking about. Have you ever just felt stuck?
Wait, yes, I have felt stuck so many times. So many times. But I have learned to work with it.
Right. So I want to talk about that. I want to talk about when we feel stuck, why we're stuck, and how to move. I actually have 3 tips on what to do if you're stuck. Yeah. So that's what we're talking about today.
Okay. So we're talking about being stuck. So why do you think people get stuck?
I think people get stuck for a number of reasons. I think sometimes you lose your vision, but why do you lose your vision? Maybe it's not the right vision for you, and you need to try on different visions, is what I've come to find out. But also we get tired and we're societal norms, right? We love to talk about societal norms. And we come from this culture of you have to go, go, go and produce, produce, produce and work, 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 or you're lazy, you're stupid, you're whatever. So I think a lot of stuckness comes from trying to force ourselves to do too much. And that's the stuckness kind of comes back to bite us. That's the thing that comes up, like, oh yeah, you think you're gonna just keep going? No, now we're gonna make you stuck. We're gonna make you start questioning everything that's going on in your life because it's time for you to slow down.
Oh, awesome. So the universe tells you to slow down, and that's kind of why you're stuck. Because
Yeah,
stuck is kind of being overwhelmed, do you think?
I
Like
think,
just
yeah, I think it's overwhelming. I also think like it's your you reach a ceiling
Mhm.
and you get stuck like right under there, right before you're ready to break through to that next thing, you get stuck in that ceiling. But that's when it's time to kind of rest to gain the momentum, energy, and vision to go on to the next level.
I love that. And you know what? Also, stuck is kind of being blocked too, right?
Sure.
So when you hit that block or that stuckness, in that ceiling, a lot of us just give up,
Yes. Yeah.
right?
A
And
hundred
we just say,
percent.
we're just done. We're just done. I can't do it. I'm not consistent. I tried, it didn't work. And I think we don't realize that we don't see how much we've done to come to that stuck place. We
That's
just give up so much, right?
that's a really great point that you bring up because we're also so conditioned to look at the bad things, right? Like to look at your failures instead of your successes. And I know you and I can look back a year and look at where we were, and I look back at some of my posts and my stories, and I'm like, oh God, who was that person?
Yeah.
Right. So, that's one thing I do love about journaling, that you could go back a week, a year, 2 years, and look at what you were thinking back then and be like, wow, I completely overcame that, or I don't think like that anymore, or more importantly, I'm not that same person. So we don't really give ourselves enough like grace and enough kudos for how far we've come, for the times that we felt stuck and we didn't give up and we kept going because we have a vision of what we want our world and our life to look like. And we're not going to let anything stop us from doing that. So, yeah, that's how I feel about
Love
it.
that. I love that, Kate. That's so nice. And also, I think, being stuck is also a good thing because when you push through that block or that stuckness, is stuckness a word? I don't know.
Well, it
You
is
actually,
now.
you actually have personal growth and you move forward. So being stuck is not a bad thing because when I was in a life coaching course, they had talked about how when you're stuck, it's actually something that is a beautiful thing. When you're stuck, you shouldn't feel sad or upset. You should feel joy because that's when you're going to have your personal growth and something amazing is going to happen. Because for you to move forward, it has to be hard. Nothing is easy.
That's right.
If you want to, take action, if you want something to happen in your life, if you want to change anything, you have to know it's going to be hard. And when you're stuck, that's your clue to tell you that this is going to happen. What you want is about to happen.
Yeah, that's how I love how you and I are always on the same page.
Yeah.
That's how I feel like now when I get stuck, like I was in a group coaching like business program, and I felt like almost every Tuesday I was stuck, and I would sit in my group session and just cry. And a lot of us did. And it was wonderful for those moments. I felt like it really helped me get through them. And other people were like, it's okay. It's fine. You're just stuck. Tomorrow's a different day. I might be stuck again tomorrow. But at some point I won't be stuck anymore. But I started to understand that being stuck was amazing, right?
Yes.
Me feeling stuck, like if in looking back at all the times I was stuck, it was always a time I had a huge breakthrough after.
Yes.
Do you feel the same way?
I feel such the same way. When I feel stuck, I don't cry or be like, oh my gosh, what do I do now? I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a sign for me to tweak, to adjust, because something is going to happen. And it's so weird because before, when I'd be stuck or have a block, I'd be like so angry and upset. And everybody was like, don't worry, you can do it. And now when I'm stuck, I'm like, or my kids are stuck, I'm like, that's awesome. That means that something good is going to happen. They're like, what is wrong with you? I'm
Yeah.
like, no, that means that that amazing thing is going to happen. And that also means that you're on the right path. You just need to fix it.
Yeah. And I feel
Yeah.
like it also means like it's a indicator of you shedding, right? Old
Yes,
things that don't work for you anymore.
exactly.
And so it's maybe a little bit of a grieving period that you go through.
Yeah. Letting go of the past and moving forward, because you can't move forward unless you let go of the past.
That's right.
Right.
100%. Yeah.
Exactly. And you're removing toxins, moving limited beliefs, and becoming the person that you want to be.
That's
Gosh,
right.
it's so exciting.
I know. I know.
Getting
It
so
really is.
happy just talking about being stuck. It's so weird. So what are some steps
Well, I
to help
wrote 3
us?
down.
Okay, that's perfect. 3 is great.
So the first one, so if you're stuck, right? You're like, what the hell? I'm stuck. I want to quit. I want to give up. What can you do to kind of work through them? The first thing I would always say is stuck is generally a sign that you need to rest, right? It's a sign that, okay, so something maybe is not working, which, I used to think that something's not working, but that's not really the right thing I say to myself anymore. It really more is, it's time for me to rest. It's time for me to go inward, right? It's time for me to ask guidance. Hey, what is my next step? Right? Trying to find clarity around that. I talk about magic and how we're so divinely supported. And sometimes, you get in that stuck phase, yes, because you're shedding old things and you do need to rest. And it's a great time just to go inwards, do your meditations, do your journaling, and ask for guidance. It will show up for you.
Yeah, kind of just calm yourself down and just like be like, okay,
Yeah.
let's take a day, maybe 2 days, see what happens and reevaluate the situation.
Right. Which is my second step or tip, is to take time to go inward, right? Kind of reevaluate things, look at things from a different perspective. God, was this yesterday? Yeah, it was yesterday morning. Again, magic and science all around us, right? I've got a lot of change going on in my life right now, and I had to work at 7:15 yesterday morning, so I don't really have a whole lot of time to do things in the morning. But my dog, he sees me put my shoes on, and he's like, "Oh, we're going for a walk." I'm like, "No, your dad's going to take you for a walk later." But I decided, I'm like, I'm just going to take 5 minutes and just take him for like a quick 5-minute walk. That'll settle him down. And I did, and I'm walking a little scouty for 5 minutes, and a hawk just flies probably 8 or 10 feet above me. And that's always a sign to look at things from a higher perspective, 100%. So, so time to go inward, ask for guidance, and look for the signs around you that can help you figure out what your next step is, or what you need to focus on, right? And maybe it is looking at things from a different perspective, looking at how far you have come, is what
Yes.
I recommend.
I love that, looking how far you have come, because, we come so far in our lives. And when we get stuck, then we just give up. And that we can't give up. We have to keep on moving forward, because that's going to be personal growth. But it also has to do with mindset, right? I mean,
Yeah.
so many of us, we think about what we don't have, how it didn't work, how we're stuck. You have to change that, right? And that's the hardest thing for, I think, a lot of women, is that we always say, look, I regret my past, or I have this limited belief, or I can't do this, or we blame other people. I'm stuck because of you, I'm stuck because of them. But you're stuck because of yourself.
That's right. Well,
No,
you and
that's
I were
also
just,
another thing.
yeah, you and I were just having this conversation. It's also, um, you know, letting go of the attachments we have to things. I mean, you and I were just having this conversation, like we've, been working in our coaching businesses for how long? And really, sometimes we and this is the whole higher perspective thing. You want to gauge things based on income,
Right.
right? Like, how come I'm not making 50 fucking million dollars? Right? Stuff like that. And that's when it's time for you to look at how far you've come and how many people you have touched. I get people in my inbox all the time saying, you said something yesterday that really stood out to me, or you did some kind of process. This just happened. I think I talked about how I communicate it. I communicate with spirit just to get guidance. And somebody reached out to me and sent me a message saying, I know this, and I've been out of touch with it for such a long time. You reminded me to do this again. And she said she actually did it that day, asked for guidance, and got it immediately. So I feel like, those are the things that give us more perspective and help in the quest to keep going. You are making a difference. You are making a change. Things are falling into place. Girl, you just need to be patient. And our humanness, we want stuff all the time right now, but there is a divine order of things, and we have to trust. And that is number.
And also not worry about what we talk about as social norms. We worry about what other people think. Right.
Yeah.
That also gets us stuck too, that this person has this, or this person does this, or their kids are doing this and mine aren't. So we get stuck in that pattern of unhappiness and social norms and comparing and judgment. And that also keeps us stuck too. So we need to shift out of that and really focus on ourselves and what makes us happy and what is good for our families as well.
100%.
Because I think that really stops us from moving forward when we look at everything else around us.
Yeah, it is so important to again, I'm going to go back to the hawk and the perspective. And if things aren't working for you and you are feeling stuck, and maybe you don't have the trust, which is number 3, is to trust yourself, right? You don't have the trust that things are working out for the best. Then it is time to look at things from that higher perspective, and maybe start looking at your social circle a little bit, right? Like, we get a lot of cues from our social circle. I know there are people that I have to not hang out with often, or not hang out with at all, that, have really come to, I've really come to understand, the energy they suck out of me, or the perspective that they do have is so small that it just annoys the crap out of me. And sometimes it makes me feel judgment for myself, because, so really kind of evaluating the role people play in your life.
Exactly.
Is really important too.
Yeah. One thing that's coming up for me is gratitude.
Oh,
really being grateful and opening up. Like, so many times we see, okay, this kid went to this college, my kid is not going. Instead of saying mine is not going, theirs is a better kid, or their kid is smarter, be like, I'm so happy for that kid. Like, really open up your heart and be like happy for other people. We're not happy for other people. We compare. But if you say, oh my gosh, like, that coach got 10 people and I only got 1, I'm so happy for that coach because she got 10 people, or she's my friend, or I'm so happy for that mom because she has, that beautiful house, or she bought that car, or she's so happy, rather than being like, how did she get that? How come I don't have it? Or what did she do that I don't have? We always compare, but opening up your heart, I think that also helps you get unstuck too.
It does. And getting out of victimhood, because that's victimhood. Yes. Why do they have that and I don't? And, I talked to you about this off podcast the other day, but this is a good place to bring this up. And so I was working the other day, and before I went to work, this is when I started like doing hour meditations in the morning. I did a meditation to help unblock my heart chakra. Cause I'm like, God, I go in and I deal with these people, and sometimes I really want to throttle them. I'm like, can you bag your groceries, please? Because like, my job is taxing enough. Please bag your groceries. Anyway, public service announcement, bag your own groceries. But so I know I get kind of like funny about that. And I'm sure people can feel my energy about, like around that. So I did this opening my heart chakra meditation that morning, and I had such an amazing day that day. And I actually had a young man come through my lane, and he looked at me, and and again, this is the magic that happens, right? he just looked at me and he's like, oh, he saw my name was Kate. He's like, that's such a fitting name for you. And he was just like, the energy I'm just getting off of you right now is incredible. Like he actually said that to me. He's like, I just feel like I feel so good in your presence right now. Like, what the hell is that about? I mean, I know I work at Whole Foods and people are like real crunchy.
Yeah.
But yeah, so your energy does matter and you matter and your opinion and your thoughts matters. And so don't let other people's thoughts, opinions, judgments of you interfere with that amazing energy you can give off to the right people.
Exactly. You matter. That is awesome. Love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
good.
what's number 3?
Oh, number 3 was trust yourself.
Trust yourself. Oh my
Trust
gosh.
in the decisions, right? Like when you ask for guidance and you get it, and we're all guilty of this. Let me tell you, I ask for signs all the time and I get a sign and I'm like, all right, now will you show me a sign to validate the sign you just showed me? Right? Like we second guess ourselves all the time. And
Yes.
when you get guidance, you got to trust it and take action and move forward and know that that was meant for you. And there is magic to be had in this world, and you just have to embrace it.
Yeah, well, I love trust yourself because so many times we don't, right? We'll say, oh, I am so good at this. And somebody else will come in and be like, hey, you're not that great. And then all of a sudden, we don't trust ourselves anymore. We believe somebody else.
I know, isn't that crazy?
Why is that? You know, like I'm going to do this, run this marathon, and I'm going to lose this weight, and I'm all ready to do it. And somebody will be like, you think you can run a marathon? You're never going to do it. And all of a sudden, we start saying, well, they're right. I never run a marathon. I'm not going to do it. You know what I mean? We just start believing other people. And
Well,
why do we do that?
that's survival instinct. That's survival instinct. So when we let people's judgments of us get in the way, it really goes back to, you know, like, and I'll say this all the time, we have outdated programming. Like we have evolved so quickly, but our like mental capacity hasn't necessarily caught up with like technology and our physical beings. So when something like that happens, a lot of times you let your ego take over because your ego is trying to keep you safe. And if somebody says you are not enough, then you have to believe it, because if you say, no, you're wrong, I am enough, I'm an amazing person, I'm going to trust myself, maybe they won't like you anymore. And we want people to like us because way back when we had to be liked to stay in our community, right? If we got ousted from our community, we would die.
That's
Right?
true.
You needed the
Yes.
community to live. So it is a little bit about that, about we do have this instinct, this fear of not being part of the group, because way back when it definitely was an indicator of whether you were going to survive or not. Think about that.
Yeah, I love that. And I get that. But now, how do people change their mindset? Because the only way to survive now is the opposite. Is
Yeah.
by trusting yourself.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
By listening to our podcast, maybe will be helpful.
Exactly. That's true. But I really feel like so many people don't trust themselves. They allow other people to control their feelings, and they allow other people to manage the way their life are. And then once you listen to them and you look back, you have so many regrets. And you're like, oh, I should have changed this. I should have done this, rather than listening to yourself. Because listening to yourself is going to be the way to get unstuck as well.
Yeah. Well, you know, I also feel like, because I was in that for a long time, right? I believed everything my mind said to me. I feel like there's, you know, we don't get handed a handbook of, like, you buy a new car, there's a manual in there. There's no manual that we really get for being human and being able to trust yourself, setting boundaries for yourself, right? Like all those things, maybe we just don't know any better. We've been conditioned, right? There's that thing, the conditioning of society and just our past, the things that we were told as children that really aren't true, but our parents passed it down to us because their parents and their parents told them. And that's why, you know, again, I know you and I are huge meditators and journalers. Just, you know, being able to trust that we have a truth that is all our own and going to find it.
I agree. Exactly. Because if you're not aligned with yourself, and you don't trust yourself, then you're going to be stuck for the rest of your life.
And unhappy.
And unhappy, exactly. And nobody wants to be unhappy. We're always
Yeah.
looking for a way to be happy,
That's
you
right.
know? And you've given us 3 great ways. Why don't you tell us again the 3 great ways?
Okay, so 3 things to do to get unstuck. So stuck is a sign. Stuck's a good sign, right? It means you're getting ready to level up, but it's time to rest. It's time to rest. Maybe take stock in how far you've come, right? Look back at the things that you have overcome. We never, not never. I mean, I started doing this, but a lot of you out there probably never thought, wow, if I look about, where was I 6 months ago or a year ago, or what big challenge did I just overcome? Right. That's an expansion. That's growth. Right. So, but rest. And then number 2 is it's time to go inward. It's always a sign to go inward. Okay. So I've gotten this far. I'm kind of like angsty and I feel stuck. It's time for me to go within, because that's where all your truths lie. Right.
Exactly.
And just look inside for, what does align with you? What lights you up? What makes you excited still? And asking for divine guidance when you need it. And then number 3 is trust in all of that.
Yes.
Trust that you know the way. Trust that when you get guidance, that it is the right guidance for you, and you're going to take action and not sit there and be like, yeah, but God, divine guidance, people, are you sure? Right. So those are my 3 tips.
Awesome. And they're really good tips. And the thing is that we really need to work on ourselves too, and give ourselves pauses and time to align ourselves and be alone, because we're in this rat race. We're constantly going. And a lot of people who feel stuck, like you said, is because they're going. They're overwhelmed, they're confused, they're tired. But if you take time every day for yourself, whether it's even 5 minutes a day, just to take a breath, just to meditate, to pause, whatever it is, even go out and walk out in nature, it's really going to help you in the process of getting unstuck.
I agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah, because we need to take time out for ourselves, right?
We do.
And a lot of us feel stuck. It could be in life, it could be in business, it could be with kids, it could be with work, whatever it is, but we just feel so stuck. If somebody asks you how you're doing, most women will say, I feel stuck, or I don't know, or I'm unhappy. Most of the people don't say anything positive.
Yeah. Well, and the one thing I've started to, 2 years ago, you asked me what my dreams and aspirations were, and I would probably tell you what my kids wanted, or what my husband wanted, or whatever, what I thought everyone else wanted for me. And now it's like, I've got these big dreams and goals, and now I struggle with, how do the people I love fit into them? That's my biggest struggle right now. So and another thing too, is it's okay to change your dreams and visions. Right. You really have to get into the vibe of what feels really good for me. What is lighting me up right now, and being okay with, in 6 months, that might not be what lights me up still, but it got me through these 6 months. It was a vehicle for me to get where I needed to go. Now something else is really exciting me and lighting me up, and I'm going to follow that path now. It's okay to kind of pivot and change things up a little bit, as long as you're still following some passion.
Wow, you're so wise, Kate.
Am I?
Yes, you are. And it brings me to the fact again that I love what you say, because it reminds me of so much of my life too. Because, when I started out, I was a radio show host. I did a game show. I had a chutney company. I had
no idea.
A clothing store, and each thing, and then became a yoga teacher, meditation, and now I do courses, and each thing lighted me up. And then I went to the next thing, and people were like, you do so many things. And I was like, but it's made me who the person I am. I can do so many things. I have grown so much. And if you ask me about anything, I can talk to you about it, because I've probably done it. But whatever lighted me up at that moment, that's what I did. And then I went to the next thing.
And it led you to the next thing.
Exactly.
And it didn't mean you were a failure at any of them for moving on. It was a stepping stone. It was a way to open the door. And I think that gets missed so much.
Yes.
You have a vision for oh, I want to do this. So my next step has to look like this. And when it doesn't, you're like, oh, well, that's it. That must not be it for me. And it's like, no, no, no. It might not, it never looks like what you expect it to look like. Never.
Exactly. And each thing that I did, I always gravitated to moms and women.
Yeah.
So like now I'm at the point where like I know moms, I know women because of everything I've done.
Right.
You know, so it evolved into that. So it's just, you know, and so I love that, you know, it actually just validated me again, because people are like, you've done so many things. So, well, you know, you started, you stopped this, but that's what led me. Whatever gave me light, that's what I go towards. And I still do that. And so people look at me as out of the box all the time.
Yeah. It's great to live out of the box, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. Because if I like something, I'm going to go for it. And my husband is totally opposite. And I've got one kid, my two kids are in the box, and I've got one kid who's out of the box, and the child who's out of the box, we just sit for hours. We're like, let's do this. Let's try this.
Is that your youngest?
My second one, my second daughter.
Interesting.
Yeah. She's the one who's very creative and likes to manifest and in the artsy world and stuff like that. So talk with her, she gets it. So it's fun.
Oh, she should come on our podcast.
Your mom goes again, and they roll their eyes. They let me do it, but they roll their eyes.
Right.
You know. So whatever gets me, that's what I like to go towards.
You should invite her on our podcast. That'd be fun.
Yes, I will. She's really, really fun.
Very cool. Well, always great talking to you. And I hope everybody, this helped you with being stuck, knowing that stuck is just, it's a progression. It means you're progressing. So don't let it get you down. Reach out to me or Uzma. You can come into our Facebook groups. Yours is the Contentment Method, and mine is Women Finding Peace, Purpose, Freedom, and Wealth. And I mean, reach out to us. Stuck is something we love, and we love to talk about it. And we can
love stuck. I love being stuck. It
tip.
brings me so much energy, you know, it doesn't bring me down. It brings me energy. So
it used to make me cry.
I know those of you who are listening to our podcast, you can also see our beautiful faces on YouTube. So just hop on over there and please like, share, subscribe. The more subscribers we get, the more fun we can have with you. And yes, and we just love doing this. So
we do.
Yes,
I do. I love coming on with you.
I know. I love it too. It's just like we just play off each other. Whatever you say, I'm like, yeah, awesome. You know, but everything and all our information are going to be in the show notes below. So if anyone wants to contact us, we're just right down below.
And thanks for listening.
Yep. Thanks for listening, everybody. We appreciate you so much. And, you know, I'd love to know in the comments under, you know, this podcast, or if you watch the YouTube, if you're stuck and what you do when you're stuck. I'd love to know what people do to get out of their stuck place.
Yeah.
Or if you're stuck, how can we help you get unstuck? Something. Let's just keep the conversation going, because I think this is something that so many women struggle with.
Yeah. And it holds them back because they view it as a sign that they're doing something wrong. So they stop.
Exactly. And we just need to calm on going, because stuck is amazing, right, Kate?
Stuck is amazing.
Amazing. All right. I'll talk to you later.
Sounds good. Bye, everybody.